The United States hasn't been successfully invaded by a foreign power in over 2 centuries. Some people say it's basically uninvadable today. 2 oceans, the world's strongest navy, overwhelming air power. Any conventional attack gets destroyed before it gets close. The only way in isn't through the front door, so I gave an AI one quite simple task: find the other door. And it did. By the way, just to clarify, this is for entertainment purposes only. Step 1, drain. The first thing the plan says is simple: don't fight America at full strength. Wait until it drains itself. Right now, in early 2026, there's a perfect opportunity for that. Operation Epic Fury is burning through some of the most expensive and hardest to replace weapons in the American arsenal: Tomahawks, SM-6 interceptors, THAAD batteries, Patriot missiles. These aren't things you restock in a few weeks. The US burned through an estimated $3.7 billion worth of munitions in just the first 100 hours. And the numbers behind that are pretty brutal. Only around 534 THAAD interceptors have ever been delivered, with 0 new ones since July 2023. During a single 12-day conflict between Israel and Iran back in 2025, over 150 were used up. That's up to 30% of the entire stockpile gone in less than 2 weeks. Epic Fury has been running far longer than that. On top of that, 2 carrier strike groups are locked into the Middle East: the USS Abraham Lincoln and Gerald R. Ford, both in CENTCOM. 14 Arleigh Burke destroyers tied up in the Arabian Sea, Red Sea, and Eastern Mediterranean. The homeland is at a historic low point in defense availability, not because the military got weaker, but because its best assets are somewhere else. That's the opening, and the plan says to use it before America recovers. Step 2, blind. Once that window opens up, the plan doesn't say send in the troops. It says take out the nervous system first. America's military strength runs on networks: power, satellites, communications, ports, data centers. When those work, the US is almost impossible to fight. When they all start failing at the same time, everything slows down. So the plan hits 3 things at once. First, the power grid. AI data centers alone are pushing a projected 50 gigawatt increase in electricity demand by 2030. Some regions are already running close to the edge, and the grid relies on digital control systems using outdated protocols, weak security, and legacy infrastructure that simply hasn't been updated. The plan calls for autonomous cyber swarms: thousands of agents infiltrating simultaneously, moving far faster than any human team can catch. On top of that, millions of poorly secured EV charging stations get hijacked to artificially spike demand in already overloaded areas. The idea is simple: push the system until it breaks itself. Once the grid goes dark, everything else starts falling apart. Data centers destabilize, fuel movement slows down, and the AI tools the Pentagon relies on to process battlefield data in real time, gone with the lights. Speaking of AI tools, think about this. Every time you use ChatGPT, your conversations are tied to your identity. OpenAI even has the former director of the NSA on its board. A former NSA whistleblower called that a betrayal of the rights of every person on Earth. Do you actually trust them with your data? That's exactly why this video is sponsored by Venice AI. Venice lets you use open source AI models directly in your browser or app. You can access the world's leading models like ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini completely anonymously. Nothing is ever tied to you. Your conversations are encrypted and stored only on your device. No corporations, no governments. I use it mostly for research. It remembers context from previous sessions, so I'm not starting from scratch every time I open it. And the image generation is genuinely good. Private, no watermarks, no one storing your prompts. If you want to use AI without handing your most personal information to corporations or the government, check out Venice.ai. Get 20% off a pro plan at Venice.ai/lastbraincell with code LASTBRAINCELL. Second, the ports. The plan doesn't say bomb them, it says freeze them, corrupt the container data, lock the automated systems in place, stop the cranes. Suddenly, naval resupply is delayed and moving forces from the homeland becomes a logistical nightmare. Third, the satellites. Ground-based lasers degrade early warning sensors. GPS gets jammed and spoofed. something Russia has already tested near Norway. The Patuffik Space Base in Greenland, which houses critical missile warning radars, gets targeted directly. And the Golden Dome, America's next-generation missile defense shield, it won't be operational until at least 2028. Right now, it's a political promise, not a functioning system. By this point, the country is partially dark, ports are frozen, and the military is operating blind. Step 3, deceive. This is where it gets really uncomfortable. The plan calls for quietly poisoning the AI systems that commanders actually trust. Long before the invasion even begins, corrupt the training data, compromise the software, feed false information into the tools driving real decisions. The goal isn't to shut the military down, it's to make it act on bad information with total confidence. Satellite analysis points to the wrong targets. Logistics software misroutes munitions. Commanders make decisive calls based on intelligence that's been quietly manipulated for weeks. That's often worse than just breaking something. At least when something breaks, you know it's broken. Then the plan turns to NATO. NATO sounds automatic. In reality, it runs on consensus across 32 member states. And every single one gets to decide for itself what action is actually necessary. There's no automatic trigger. There's a committee. The plan exploits that with one very specific target: Svalbard, Norwegian territory, 750 kilometers north of the mainland. Military installations are banned there under a 1920 treaty, but Russian nationals are legally allowed to live and work on the islands. Unmarked special forces go in, sever undersea cables, and seize the place overnight. Suddenly, 32 governments are locked in emergency debates about whether this even counts as an Article 5 event. Lawyers get involved. Parliaments argue. Weeks disappear. At the same time, the U.S. raid on Caracas earlier in 2026, Operation Absolute Resolve, has already stirred up a lot of anti-American sentiment across Latin America. The plan uses existing footholds in Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Cuba to generate enough chaos in the Caribbean that U.S. command starts redirecting surveillance assets southward. Washington is looking south. The real threat is coming from the north. Step 4, arrive. The invasion fleet doesn't look like an invasion fleet. It looks civilian. Over 200,000 state-sponsored fishing boats flood the Pacific transit routes, all equipped with military-grade navigation and communications. U.S. radar systems can't tell a fishing trawler apart from a ship carrying an entire mechanized infantry battalion. And if the U.S. starts firing on what look like civilian vessels, the legal and political fallout is immediate. That hesitation is built into the plan. Hidden inside that civilian mass are the real tools: armored vehicles on reinforced cargo decks, and civilian ships fitted with the LY-1 high-energy laser, originally a truck-mounted air defense weapon now strapped to open cargo decks. It shoots down drones and cruise missiles at the cost of a few dollars of electricity. Every expensive U.S. precision missile gets neutralized on the cheap. The math becomes catastrophic for the defending side. At the center of the fleet is the Type 76, the world's first drone-centric amphibious assault ship, launched in late 2024. It doesn't lead with landing craft. It launches stealth combat drones and special operations teams first, taking out local command nodes before the main force even gets close. And the landing point isn't California. It isn't the East Coast. It's the Arctic. America operates just 2 ocean-going icebreakers. The Arctic is thinly defended. Infrastructure is basically non-existent, and the Patuffik early warning base has already been taken out. NORAD's northern coverage is gone. Special operations forces secure a bridgehead. Then thousands of armored vehicles unload directly onto the North American landmass. And with ports frozen and the grid down, the U.S. can't move its southern-facing forces north fast enough. Not through the front door. Through the door, nobody was watching. The main lesson. This isn't saying America is easy to invade. It really isn't. But it is showing us where the cracks are. The biggest vulnerability of a modern superpower isn't firepower. It's dependence on uninterrupted power, on digital logistics, on alliances that can actually move fast enough. on AI systems that haven't been quietly compromised. The plan works on paper because it never goes after America's strengths. It just waits for overextension, then hits the grid, the ports, the satellites, and the alliances all at once. Then comes in through the one corridor nobody was watching. And what if every US state fought each other? Watch the video on your screen. Thanks for watching.